Amara's life had always been an uphill battle, marked by challenges that seemed insurmountable. From her earliest memories, her days were filled with hardship, uncertainty, and an unyielding determination to survive. Growing up in a small adoption center tucked away in a quiet part of the city, she learned the weight of loneliness. The only connection to her past was a tiny silver necklace with a heart-shaped pendant. It was fragile and almost too light to feel real, but for Amara, it was her anchor. The caretakers at the adoption center had told her it was found with her as an infant, rescued from a child trafficking case. It was her only possession, her only clue to a family she had never known. She often clutched the pendant close to her heart, whispering silent wishes to parents she hoped might still be out there. Despite her dreams of becoming a software engineer and building something meaningful, Amara knew her reality. College was expensive, and without family to support her, it was an unattainable luxury. At 18, she left the adoption center with nothing more than a small bag of clothes and her pendant. She found a tiny apartment in a worn-down building on the outskirts of town. The walls were thin, and the neighbors were loud, but it was hers. To make ends meet, she worked as a waitress at a modest diner downtown. The hours were long, the pay meager, and the work exhausting, but it was enough to keep the lights on and food on the table. The diner bustled with customers during the day, but turned eerily quiet at night. Amara spent her days serving tables, wiping counters, and dreaming of a life beyond greasy aprons and stained menus. She endured whispers and taunts about her background and the color of her skin, small jabs that cut deeply despite her efforts to brush them off. Through it all, she held her head high, unwilling to let the weight of their words crush her spirit. One afternoon, during a lull in the lunch rush, the door to the diner swung open and a tall black man stepped inside. He was well-dressed, likely in his late 40s, and carried himself with a quiet confidence that turned heads. His sharp suit and calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the humble diner. Amara approached his table with a practiced smile. "Good afternoon," she said. "Can I get you something to drink while you decide?" Before he could answer, a man at a nearby table sneered loudly and muttered, "Guess they'll hire anyone these days." Amara's stomach tightened. She glanced at the floor, her smile faltering. She had heard such remarks before, but they never stopped stinging. The man in the suit, however, turned to the rude customer with an unwavering gaze. "Excuse me," he said, his voice steady but authoritative. "Do you think it's acceptable to insult someone working harder than you likely ever have?" The customer mumbled an apology and quickly left. Amara stood frozen, unsure whether to feel grateful or embarrassed. The man turned back to her, his expression soft. "I'm sorry you had to endure that," he said gently. "Thank you," she murmured. As she served his coffee, she noticed him looking at her necklace. "That's a beautiful pendant," he said. "May I ask where you got it?" Amara's hand instinctively rose to the tiny heart on her chest. "It's the only thing I have from my past," she replied softly. "They found it with me when I was a baby." The man's expression shifted, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. "Do you know anything else about your past?" he asked, his voice trembling. "A name, perhaps?" Amara hesitated. "My name, Amara, was on a note they found with me." "Why?" Tears welled up in the man's eyes. "Amara," he whispered. "It's a name I've been saying in my prayers for over 20 years. Amara's heart raced. "What do you mean?" The man took a shaky breath. I think I might be your father," he said. "My name is Elijah." The world tilted beneath Amara's feet. "My father," she whispered. Elijah nodded, his voice breaking. "You were taken from us when you were just a baby. Your mother and I have been searching for you ever since. This necklace, it was hers. She gave it to you the day you were born." Amara's hand gripped the pendant tightly. "How can you be sure?" Elijah reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn photograph. It showed a baby with dark curls and a familiar heart-shaped necklace. "This was taken the day you were born," Elijah said. "We've kept it, hoping it would lead us back to you. Tears streamed down Amara's face. If this is true, where's my mother? She asked. Elijah smiled. Her name is Leah. She's been waiting for this moment for so long. Amara burst into tears and hugged him tightly. I've waited for this moment too, she whispered. After her shift, Elijah took Amara to his home, a sprawling estate that left her speechless. As they entered, Leah appeared, her face lighting up with recognition. Amara? She whispered, her voice breaking. Amara nodded, and Leah rushed to embrace her. My baby, Leah sobbed. I've missed you every single day. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of love and reunion. Elijah and Leah supported Amara's dream of becoming a software engineer, enrolling her in the best programs and hiring tutors to help her catch up. Amara threw herself into her studies, fueled by a determination that had carried her through years of hardship. Years later, Amara became a successful engineer. Her family stood by her side, cheering her on as she built a life she had only dreamed of. Through it all, she wore the tiny heart-shaped pendant, a reminder of resilience, love, and the unbreakable bond of family. Her journey was not just one of reunion, but a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the belief that love could overcome any darkness.